Back here in the state line, it is still raining here. Meteorologist Jordan Wolfe is out live in Rockford to check out the flooding firsthand. Let's check in with him now. Where are you and what are you seeing, Jordan?
Well, Wendell, I'm out here in the parking lot of Schnucks right along Charles Street. Behind me is the McDonald's there. This is an area that is certainly prone to flooding. A little bit around a year ago, I was out here actually when late at night there was a lot of that significant flooding that shut down Charles Street for an extended period of time. Now, the rainfall rates have come down significantly, even from where they were earlier this evening, but it's still somewhat of a steadier rainfall, and the flooding that was out here has also significantly receded. Back behind me, Keith Creek is certainly a little bit on the higher side, but at the moment is still within its banks. Now, if we were to get a few of those more steady rainfall rates or more heavy rainfall to build in, that could bring that back out of its banks and once again bring some of that flooding, but at least at the moment that is at bay as some of those rainfall rates have been coming down. Radar estimates put around 2 to 3 inches of rainfall have fallen in my location, and a lot of that came down in a really narrow period of time, which is why a lot of those water levels rose as quickly as they did. But now, as things have started to settle down, rainfall rates coming down, things have been receding, and that will likely continue to be the trend as we head here later into the evening, given that we have a lot of those lower rainfall rates that will continue to be present even as we head here into the late evening. Now, that said, we still have some additional thunderstorm activity that will be possible going into tomorrow and into Saturday as well. And with the soil as wet as it is, we may have to once again watch for that potential for flooding if things were to once again build back up. So we'll keep an eye on that as we head over the next several days.
Meteorologist Jordan Wolfe, he has been out here this evening in an area that's been dealing with some flooding in years past, and it looks like, Jordan, the rain has actually picked up a little more. I know that area flooded earlier today or had some flash flooding. Kind of what are you looking at right now?
Well, Candace, a lot of the roadway in the parking lot here at Schnucks, we moved a little bit of the ways down, but a lot of the water is starting to filter down into Keith Creek. And you can see off in the distance there, Keith Creek is pretty close to its banks. And earlier that had flooded over this parking lot, but since has receded a little bit, although it may still be possible to see that rise again if we were to get some of those more heavy rainfall rates. Now, that steadier rain has started to pick up just a little bit, as you mentioned. Some of those more steady bands of rain, the darker colors there on radar, passing overhead, and that's bringing a little bit of an uptick in that rain. Not quite enough to allow for that flooding to be as much of a concern here this evening, at least here in the immediate term. But nonetheless, that flash flood warning still runs through midnight, through 1 a.m. for many spots here in the state line, including in our location where roughly 2 to 3 inches of rain has already come down, and looking like we will continue to see some of those rainfall rates at least for a little while longer. But thankfully, we'll get some of that drier air working its way back in as we head here later into the evening.
And that's where we find meteorologist Jordan Wolfe, who has been out here this evening, kind of keeping an eye on things. You've been along Keith Creek and right along there, the Schnucks there on Charles. So I just want to get an update on what we're looking at here, what you're seeing out right now.
Well, Candace, this is an area, as you mentioned, that's very prone to flooding. Even just a year ago, remember that really bad flooding that happened around here. Keith Creek at the moment, thankfully, is within its banks. It is certainly a little bit on the higher side, as you can see there, but at the moment, it is within its banks. Now, earlier, some of that did produce a little bit of that flooding here in the parking lot. Some of the water still rushing down the parking lot into the creek, but things have remained at least below those significant flooding levels here in the immediate term. That flash flood warning will continue to go on until 1 a.m. in my location, where rainfall rates have been around 2 to 3 inches of rainfall in total has come down. That's what radar estimates in my location. And in some spots, even in Chessie Park, as you mentioned, 4 or 5 inches of rain in some locations. And there's a big flash of lightning there off in the distance. Thankfully, we haven't had anything all that close. A lot of those lightning flashes starting to pick up a little bit more off in the distance at this time. That heavier rainfall rates have been significantly less as of now, and really almost that steady rain at the moment, as opposed to the heavier rain that was was when we first got here. The Keith Creek behind me may even have started to come down a little bit since we arrived on location a little bit less than an hour ago, and that would be good news if things were to continue to recede and if we continue to have these lower rainfall rates. That should bring some improvement, but those flash flood warnings still remain in place through midnight or 2 a.m. in some locations. So if you come across any of those flooded roadways, be sure to turn around and don't drive through them, and make sure you're getting to higher ground if any of those flash flood warnings or those rising waters were to come near you.